All right, guys, we have a new image of the Galaxy Z Fold 7 as well as the Galaxy Z Flip 7. These images actually broke a few days ago, but I waited to see if there were any Samsung copyright strikes, any word of that type of thing happening. I actually thought about just not even bothering with these images because I was worried about it. But you know what? The hype is real. It looks incredible, so we're going to talk about them and take that risk. Now, these new images do come courtesy of Evan Blass at EV Leaks or Ev Leaks over on Twitter. You should definitely give them a follow. Now, he did not actually just directly tweet these images, but we do know that they did come from him. I've grabbed those images and I've uploaded them onto shanecraig.tech, and we're going to take a look at them and dig into some details. So this first image is of the Galaxy Z Flip 7, and as you can see, you have a very large cover display with those cameras cutting their way through that cover display. Very, very thin bezels on the exterior display. Looks like the dimensions are very, very similar. This doesn't look like it's getting profoundly thinner or changing much beyond that cover display, obviously, kind of taking on that Moto Razr style. If I'm being honest, I don't have a lot to say about this phone. It's cool. I'm sure some of you will enjoy it, but my interest is with the Fold 7, and here is the image for that. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot to talk about here. So much so that we're going to throw it over into an image viewer so that you can zoom in. So let's just start pointing stuff out, right? So first off, you see the camera punching its way through that display. That is not an under-display camera. Now, there has been some conversation about how the Galaxy Z Fold Special Edition, which also had a hole punch, might actually really be an under-display camera. But due to a lawsuit with BOE, maybe Samsung is disabling it. Basically, what I do with my Z Folds already using Multi-Star, you can fill it with black and basically disable that functionality. Maybe the same thing is happening here. Maybe once this lawsuit is settled, there can be an update that re-enables the UDC functionality. Very, very hard to say, but that might be what happened with the SE. Maybe that's what's happening here. Again, hard to say. Another thing to talk about here is, yeah, this thing looks extremely, extremely thin. Now, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Is it 3.9 millimeters or is it 4.5 millimeters? Well, using this, I can illustrate this super, super easily. Apparently, according to Ice Universe and according to, I had to go back and check, on leaks, if you measure this device from this edge to this edge, it's going to be about 3.9 millimeters. If you include this bezel, which you can see here quite clearly does protrude from the screen, you can see this very, very easily. If you include that, it's 4.5 millimeters. And I know that some of you maybe haven't heard this. Why would you exclude the bezel? I don't know, but everyone does it. The Oppo Find N5 is 4.2 millimeters, unless you actually measure it with a caliper and you include the bezel, then it's about 4.5 millimeters. Samsung's bezel protrudes more than just about anyone else's, and the reasoning I would imagine for that is so that when the device is closed, it's the bezel that's touching, and the screen is going to be, it's about 0.5 of a millimeter sticking out, so the screen's going to be about a millimeter apart when it's closed. Now, the downside to that is when the device is closed, it's going to be thicker, right? So 4.5 doubled, it's going to be about 9 millimeters, maybe closer to 8.9. But when it's opened, the bezel's only on this exterior edge of the device. Everywhere else on the inside, the rest of the body is going to be thinner than that, so around 3.9-ish millimeters. You can see that side-mounted power button, which will be the fingerprint scanner, the volume rocker as well, and then the camera bump, which maybe the angle of how this is positioned is meant to kind of be like, yeah, there's cameras back there, but you can't quite see that they're sticking out super, super, super far. I mean, if you think about this just in terms of just the physics of the situation, the Z Fold 6 cameras don't stick out very far. But if you leave most of those cameras the same, and then you make the body way thinner, they're gonna just stick out further. That's just how that's going to work, and that's how that absolutely does work. These cameras stick out real, real far. So, you know, sitting this thing down on a table, it's gonna have some wobble. Now, we've also heard that the Z Fold 7 is going to be around 215 grams, which makes it actually lighter than the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is really, really impressive. It's something that I didn't put a lot of stock into for a long time because I used to use Microsoft's Surface Duo, and that phone was quite heavy, and Duo 2, I think, was even heavier than Duo 1. Am I crazy for, is that a false memory? At any rate, I got used to carrying this very heavy phone. So then when I switched to the Pixel Fold or these other phones and everyone said, this is so heavy, I was like, oh, it's no heavier than what I'm already used to. But since I got used to using the Oppo Find N5, now when I go back and I use my Pixel 9 Pro Fold or something like that, or my Galaxy Z Fold 6, which I actually spent a few days with my primary SIM in just a little while ago, they feel very brickish and heavy to me. And so I'm actually quite excited about that particular detail, a 215 gram Z Fold. So guys, not much more to say about this one other than that I hope I don't get in trouble for posting it on YouTube. You get 3 copyright strikes in a year before your channel gets taken down. I have 0 currently on the board, so if something does happen, it's not the end of the world, but still slightly stressful situation. Do feel free to use the link down below, both in the description and pinned in the comments, to go reserve your Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. If you click that link, all they want from you is your email address. You don't have to pay them anything, and there's no requirement to make a purchase. Basically, all you're doing is you're saying, hey, when the Fold 7 comes out, you're allowed to send me an email telling me that it came out. And in exchange for that, if you then follow that link in your email that they're going to send you, you're going to get $50 in Samsung credits towards accessories for the Fold 7 if you do make that purchase, and you should also get some enhanced trade-in values. And it does help directly support this channel, which is something I will be very, very grateful for. Guys, thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this, and until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.